Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Kirill, your Just Dance analyst, and today I'm extremely excited to continue with Eurovision 2026 entries. And today it's time for probably the most iconic Eurovision country, which defines the standards, even the rules of voting partially for the Eurovision Song Contest, and it's Sweden. Of course, talking about Sweden and Eurovision, I just cannot miss the topic of Melodifestivalen, their huge selection process which lasts for 6 weeks, which is more popular in the country than Eurovision itself, and the songs coming from there just constantly occupy all Swedish musical charts and sometimes even the charts abroad. This year's Melodifestivalen brought us a lot of great songs again, which are now topping all the Swedish charts. I was lucky enough to be able to attend the final and even got a few seconds of fame on YouTube and during the broadcast. I have totally enjoyed watching all the acts live, however, I personally had, of course, some favorites this year as well. Maybe not my personal favorite, but this year we also had a legendary comeback of Sanna Nilsson, who represented Sweden in 2014 and brought 3rd place. Sanna was definitely not releasing much music lately, especially in English, so it was such a pleasure to see her coming back, and I hope maybe in a couple of years she can even win Melodifestivalen and go to Eurovision again. But who was the winner? So of course the winner was FELICIA. She's 24 years old, she comes from a small town right next to Stockholm. She was not considered one of the pre-contest favorites, and actually she even took part in Melodifestivalen in the past, but under a slightly different name. Even though Unga and Fria failed to reach the finals, it still became extremely popular in Sweden, reached #1 in the charts. Under the same stage name, Fröken Snusk, she also had another #1 single, which was sort of big breakthrough for her. Fröken Snusk can be translated to English as Miss Smut, and as the name suggests, the texts of her songs were mostly very provocative, very sexual partially, but in 2025 the producer of this Fröken Snusk project, the creator of this project, Rasmus Gozzi, has made a decision to replace our Felicia with another singer whose name is still unknown to this day, which led to huge backlash. A lot of concerts for Fröken Snusk have been cancelled because the organizers felt like Felicia was somewhat betrayed. Afterwards, Felicia started her entirely new solo musical career, changed style slightly, so going maybe a little bit away from this very provocative image. Performing under her real name, she decided to get rid of the full head mask, keeping just a small face mask, which sort of represents her struggles in fighting social anxiety. And since then she released a couple of songs. One of them, Black Widow, actually managed to reach place 14 in Swedish charts. But now let's talk about her Eurovision entry, My System, which managed to impress both the Swedish public and the juries, and the team of composers behind this entry is actually very atypical for Melodifestivalen. We have very much Norwegian team. 2 years ago Sweden sent to Eurovision Norwegian artists with a Swedish song. Now we have a Swedish artist with a Norwegian song. The first one, Audun Agnar Gulbrandsen, actually wrote many songs for Norwegian Melody Grand Prix. He also worked with Alessandra, who represented Norway in Eurovision Song Contest. He worked, of course, also with a couple of Swedish artists like Samir and Victor or Dolly Style. And here a short summary for you of my favorite works from him from Norwegian Melody Grand Prix. Odun also co-wrote all the previous singles released by Felicia. The next composer, Emily Harbach, is another Norwegian composer who didn't really work on any songs for the national selections in the past. However, she worked with Gabri Ponte, who represented San Marino last year in Eurovision. She also worked on some songs for Adelen, for Take McRae, so definitely not an unknown name, but very new to Melodifestivalen and to Eurovision in general. The next composer got me the most excited about this entry already in advance, because it's Norwegian artist Julie Bergan. She's extremely popular all over Scandinavia for her latest singles like Kiss Me Better or Eternity Tonight. Or you might remember how in the beginning of her career she also took part in Norwegian selection herself, or maybe how she was featured on a super famous song of Alan Walker.
What's the problem we have? Say a little less, give a little more, give a little something. Baby, tell me one more beautiful lie. What puts you
The next composer is a very famous Theresa Rex, who actually has with just 2 songs already more than 1.5 billion streams on Spotify.
Just wanna dance, 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 dance. That's what I like about ya. Yeah, that's what I like about ya.
And Felicia herself actually also contributed to writing of the song. So now let's go for the first listen, then we will talk about the lyrics, afterwards I will check the live performance, and then we will discuss in general what are the chances of Sweden in this Eurovision Song Contest. Let's go! Of course, I have heard the song even live. In any case, let's first check the studio version. I will not interrupt, I will just give my small remarks throughout. Afterwards, we will take a look at the lyrics of the song. And then finally, at the live performance, where I will pause and we'll just discuss with you some most interesting parts of it. So, let's go!
I don't even want you. No, you.
The vocals sound so processed, but actually in reality, she can really sing like this. I think the mask even also helps to put more accent on her eyes. It's just so easy to sing along. I already have the song stuck in my head. And the instrumental drop, I'm usually not a huge fan, but here it really works. The instrumental definitely reminds me of the works from Julie Bergan, so you can really see who is behind this one. It's sort of untypical entry for Eurovision, it's just a little bit more for the club, you could say, than to this family-friendly show. So vocally there is not really much change in comparison to the first verse, but instrumental just gets more and more powerful, just drags you more and more into the song. Usually I would be very concerned what can they do in this long instrumental drops, but we already saw the performance from Melodifestivalen and it's just great. It's just a banger. I have to say there is kinda no difference between how it sounds in this pre-recorded studio version track in comparison to the live performance. For example, you might have seen her performance after the semi-final, after she was announced the winner.
Forget how you did. I can't the whole idea of you. Been dancing on your grave.
So there she has really proven that she can perform, and this is not just some pre-recorded backing vocals. Amazing song, maybe not really typical for Eurovision, but now let's see what it is really about. In the lyrics, Felicia is telling about the person whom she's trying to forget, to get out of her life, but with whom she still wants to spend each and every weekend. She says, "You're always coming back on the weekends. On any given Monday, I'm forgetting how you taste. I hate the morning after, I hate the way you make me feel, and even even if she deletes all her memories and barricades all her walls and encrypts all her feelings for security, it still doesn't matter at all. She's probably trying to deny that she got feelings for that person with whom she spends weekends. Maybe she's scared to become dependent from that person and scared to admit her feelings, but it's very obvious that this person is very much stuck in her mind and in her system. If this is a personal story from her, if she has such person in her life or maybe had in the past, I don't really know. If you know, please let me know down below in the comments. In any case, lyrics don't really present anything new or anything special, but I think that's the message which many people can relate to. In any case, let's now go for the second listen, where we'll take a look at the live performance from Melodifestivalen 2026 final. I have actually never rewatched the final after seeing it live, so now it's for me also almost like seeing it first time. Let's see how different it is to her semi-final performance. Let's go.
No, you don't take a space on any given Monday.
Her voice is just like a treat for your ears. Beautiful.
I'm forgetting how you taste.
With the word taste, she was slightly under the tone. Maybe this is one of the reasons why she got a little bit less points from the juries.
'Cause now you're in my head, my heart, my body parts.
I mean, all the camera angles, slides, everything is just so effective. That's already ready-made performance for the big Eurovision stage. You can hear the audience absolutely loves it. These laser lights in red are so effective. They look so cool. Nothing really too new, but it still looks so fresh and so up to date. I think Felicia also joined the choreography a little bit more actively than it was in the semi-final. Maybe it's just my impression, but I still feel like she's now moving more than it was in her hit.
Hate the morning after. Hate the
The walk was definitely fixed. It was a little bit more clumsy, you can say, in the semi-final, but now it just looks great.
I just need to fix myself for real.
And the swing was also great. You know, for her wearing this face mask, it's much harder to establish connection with the viewer, but just with her eyes, gestures and voice, she's so convincing. Have you noticed she has 6 dancers? Of course, on Eurovision stage you can be only 6 people in total. So will she have 5 dancers or 4? What do you think? All these notes, absolutely excellent, perfect. I'm hoping that the juries will also be kind to this entry for Sweden. All the slides, effects, everything is rehearsed to perfection. It looks so expensive, so modern. I'm sure it will captivate a lot of the viewers during Eurovision Song Contest. Also, I think the switch from the face mask to this huge sunglasses is also very cool. I just wish they would show a little bit more of her close-ups in the end, that everyone can really notice this change. You know, I'm so happy and so proud of Felicia that after being kicked out from that Fröken Snusk project, which gave her fame, gave her 2 #1 singles in Sweden, she didn't give up. She started her solo career, entered Melodifestivalen and won it, has proven that she doesn't need that project, that she's even better on her own, and now she will be such an amazing representative of Sweden in Vienna. So now let's take a look how actually Sweden was rated in Eurovision Semi-Finals in the last 5 and 15 years. So as you can see on your screen, Sweden is definitely a powerhouse. They're ranked first in comparison to the other semi-final competitors. We are of course talking here about semi-final number 1. They're ranked first in accordance with their official placing in the semi-finals in the last 5 years and also in the last 15 years. In the last 15 years they were also better than any other competitors in the televoting and in the jury voting. You could have noticed that especially in Eurovision finals, Sweden is very much relying on support from the juries. Televoters are usually a little bit more harsh to Sweden, so last year when Sweden picked already a very much televote-friendly entry for Eurovision, it kinda didn't bring the success which they hoped to get. Sweden was considered the main, or at least one of the main favorites to win the final. In the end, they didn't even end up in top 3. So this year, again, Sweden picked very much televote-friendly song, something what the juries might like a lot less. This is a little bit of dangerous road, but I think Sweden doesn't need victory again just after a few years since Lorraine's victory. Her qualification to the final is, I think, not even anything we have to question, but let's just take a look at the semi-final number 1 participants to see from whom she is potentially stealing place in the final. Unfortunately for Felicia's competition, first semi-final is somewhat stronger than semi-final number 2 this year, so it's a little bit harder to qualify from here. Sweden has been drawn first half of this harder semi-final, so kind of the worst possible slot ever, but even if the producers will put Sweden to perform first, which is also making the job even more difficult to qualify, I don't think she will struggle by any means, so it would be still a great opener of this Eurovision Song Contest. Let's take a quick look where Sweden is ranked in accordance with the bookmaker odds. So as you can see on your screen, right now Sweden is place 6, but having actually almost exactly the same coefficients as place 5 Australia. So bookmakers are not writing off my system yet from the list of potential winners, but we can see that some others bookmakers definitely see much closer to this potential victory. But as I have already said, Sweden doesn't really need this victory. They hosted Eurovision Song Contest just 2 years ago in 2024 in Malmö, so I think it's perfectly fine if Felicia just finishes in top 5 or maybe top 10. Her song is just not something what a lot of jurors will support, I'm afraid. In the Eurovision scoreboard, Sweden is somewhat higher, right now in place 3, so we have a very much Nordic top 3, even in absence of Iceland. The other Nordic countries are definitely smashing it, and she even has a very comfortable gap to place 4, which is right now Cyprus. So in any case, I think Sweden has a very good shot to finish so high in the televote. Just as I have said, probably the juries will not stand so much behind this entry. So that's what I have thought about Felicia and my system. It's an amazing entry. I'm so happy with the choice of Swedish public and the international juries. Or did you have other favorites in Melodifestivalen? Maybe you wanted Gressula or Medina to win? Definitely let me know down below in the comments who do you think would have done better in Eurovision Song Contest. Like this video, subscribe to my channel to not miss the next video, which will be about Italy. See you there. Bye bye.